Hey guys, welcome back to my temple. Now, I know I said we were going to do part 3 of zodiacal magic, and we will, but I think it's time we elaborate more on the tree of life. And that'll give us a template for when I start bringing up the planets. You'll have the Sephiroth to compare it to. And just as you've got the two extreme polarities, when you've got like Hesed and Gabora, it's going to be the same energy, but it's going to be one's going to be on the pillar of severity, one's going to be on the pillar of mercy, and one's going to be in the middle pillar, right? So this will all make sense here in a second. So the very first thing is we can't really comprehend what God is per se with our limited capabilities. All we can do is try our hardest to put like a very vague concept of what the source of everything might potentially be. And so, and this is way, 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 way more intricate, but I'm just going to give you the basic understanding. And then we will add more to it as we go, because you can add so much information to the Tree of Life glyph, which is what we're going to be producing. We're making a glyph. We're making a Tree of Life glyph. So anyways, this is the beginning, and this is Kether. This is usually known as a bright white light. And in most of your energy exercises, when you are focusing on the orb above your head, you're focusing on Kether. And it's usually a white brilliance, right? And so, like I said, there's a pillar, there's 3 pillars, right? The Tree of Life is made up of 3 pillars. All right. And you've got the middle pillar, right? You've got the pillar of severity, black, negative, feminine, right? Absorb. And then you've got the pillar of mercy, right? And that's white, positive, masculine, and reflect. Absorb and reflect, right? And the beginning is Kether, right? And so Kether creates one. Kether is 1. And so now you have 2 and you have 3. Right? And this is known as the It has many names, but it's like the upper triangle because you got to understand. All this is so symbolic. So once I make the tree of life, the bottom of it's going to be one level, then another level, then another level, and this represents the top level. So this actually represents Absoluth. This is the land of archetypes creation. This is the heavenly realm, right? Below this is the abyss. And after this, everything becomes material. It starts with your soul and then it eventually goes to your body, right? But it all starts here. And this is the origins of heaven. And then this is all of the zodiac energies, right? And then this is the beginning of the planetary energies, which is Saturn. And this is also going to create Da'ath, which you don't really see, but that's essentially where the abyss is. And that's basically Saturn because it's essentially where your throat is. And it's Yahovah Elohim, which is Saturn, which is Bina. So I'm basically saying Saturn is in two positions in the tree of life. It's in the third position of Bina, and it's also represented as Da'ath, right? Which is the invisible circle between Tapareth and Kether. And but anyways, that's neither here nor there. So basically what you have is you have the zodiac signs for number 2, and then you have Bina, which is Saturn, for number 3. And then this energy goes through the abyss, and new energy comes out, but it's at a lower frequency, right? And it's the two polarities. So just as like this is all of the male potential energy, the zodiac energies that exist, and this is essentially the great mother that takes these energies and births everything else below. That's why Saturn is the planet above all the others. And then when I said Hakma, it's like Chakma, but it's a guttural. So it's like Hakma. So it's something similar to that. Hakma. So if you just like basically pronounce it something like that, you kind of got it. And that's basically the zodiac energies, which kind of I started with that, right? So, anyways, once you have all of the potential, so you've got all this energy and you've got the pillar of mercy. So think of this as like this is the creative energy, right? And this is like the destructive energy. And Saturn at the top is a mixture of the two. And so when it goes below, it focuses purely on destructive, and this one focuses purely on creative. And so, of course, that creates a polarity between the two of them, right? And so you got to remember, um, when you go down the tree of life, each pillar is essentially the same energy. It's just in a lower polarity. Anyways, that's a very crude drawing, but that's going to be, oh boy. Well, we'll make it work, right? So, anyways, once you go down, you've got Mars and you've got Jupiter. Those are the two polar extremes. You've got Gabora and you've got Hesed, right? You've got your right shoulder and you've got your left shoulder. And the way that works is Jupiter is right below Saturn, right? It is the big guy that is always happy and giving gifts and more 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 and more. Always a good time. Take yourself, whatever you have, take that and times it by 1,000,000, right? And that all sounds well and good until you think, what is cancer, right? It's basically cellular growth without any structure or resistance, any kind of pattern or structure, and it's just like a mass. And so Jupiter is basically it's awesome that it's life giving, but it's to the extreme. To the extreme, it can become excessive. And so that's why you have the balance over in the pillar of severity, and that's Mars, and that is literally the exact opposite. So it is the destruction. It is the destruction. You can look at Mars from a body level as your metabolism or working out. It's destruction, but it creates strength, right? It creates movement, it creates action, it creates the fire and passion. So it destroys things, and then Jupiter creates things, and Mars destroys things, and Jupiter creates things, and you have a perfect balance, right? Well, that those two get merged together into the second Sephiroth in the middle pillar. And that is what everybody knows as the sun, that is Tapareth. And that is the center of the tree of life. And that is basically this perfection taking through the abyss, and it's now below, and it's a mixture of the destruction of Mars, the creation of Jupiter, and it's a perfect balance of the two. It's perfect balance. Now, a yin yang is not represented by Tapareth, but it makes a perfect representation of what Tapareth represents. So, anyways, this is the second triangle, right? And this is your heart and your left and right shoulder. And this is the triangle of your soul, right? And so then you've got Mars's energy. So instead of just dropping straight down, it goes from Mars to the sun and then comes down, right? Because everything goes through Tapareth. And same for Hesed, right? It goes through Tapareth and then comes down, right? You got 7 and you got 8. And now this is still going to be the pillar of severity and the pillar of mercy, but it's going to be much more pure and centered. It's not going to be as extreme as Mars and Jupiter. It's going to be more of a mixture of the two. And so you have Netzach and you have Hod. And that is Venus and Mercury, right? Scratch that out. Right? And this is essentially your emotions. This is where you think of love. This is where um, if you practice any form of magic, you should know the terms force and form, and that basically means the force of Venus, the force, the energy. You've got the form of Hod. You've got the visualization. You've got the you've got the left side of the brain, the right side of the brain. So you've got the left side, which is your thoughts, which is your analysis, right? You're able to visualize it. And then with that visualization, you pour in those emotions, you put in that force, right? And those two combined drop down into the next one in the middle pillar, right? And that is Yesod, and that's the moon. And that is basically the astral, right? This is the astral. It's the combination of your emotions and your thoughts combined. Your emotions and your thoughts combined go into. Okay. And then you have Malkuth. And this is basically. Okay, so let's jump back here for a second. Just like you have this triangle, 1, 2, and 3, is I think it's called the supernal, but we'll just say it's the heavenly triangle, right? This represents the heavens, right? Then you've got 4, 5, and 6, and that's the upside down triangle, and that represents your soul, right? And then you've got 7, 8, and 9, and this represents your body. Your body. This is you. And that's your mind, the mind of Mercury, the mind of Hod, and the emotions and feelings of Venus and Netzach, right? And that produces your astral body. That produces your electromagnetism, which then gets sent down into the physical. And this is Malkuth. This is the kingdom. So everything that we are working on, we're going to see it here in Malkuth, right? So 10's an important number when we start working with the tarot, because 10 is the complete manifestation of that, right? So let's see. Let's see what we need to work with still here. So we've got the beginning. We've got Kether. That's broken down into number 2, which is this. And then you've got also Saturn. And remember, that's just the 2 polarities. So it's basically all of the masculine energy and all of the feminine energy. And then, as I said, this is the great mother. This is the eternal womb. This is the first birth that birthed this, which is the 2 brothers, Hesed and Gabora, Jupiter and Mars. And then there is the sun, the great balance, the great equalizer. Then you have Mercury, and you have Netzach, you have Venus, and you have Mercury. Venus and Mercury, right? And then they produce, of course, there is the moon. And the moon is the daughter of the sun, right? And then, of course, that produces Earth, and that's where we reside. And I am literally just giving you guys the basics of this, just so you guys have something to understand when I start doing zodiacal magic. The beginning, part 3, the lesser arcana, because I'm going to be explaining why it goes Saturn, Jupiter, the Sun, let's see here. Apologies. Jupiter, Mars, the Sun, Venus, Mercury, and the Moon. And that's because this is the order of importance. And if there is a hierarchy system, this is the hierarchy system, right? And the Moon, right? The Moon is the closest connection to Earth. It's the lowest form of energy. It's not bad low. It's just, if this is the highest realm, this is the low realm, right? Now it gets darker because you flip it and then you get into the Klipoth, and that's the inverse of it. But that's neither here nor there, right? So I don't want to get too crazy, but next we're going to take the zodiac signs beginning with Leo, right? And then we're going to use that pattern, right? So what comes after Leo, right? That would be Virgo. Right? The Sun, Venus, and then Mercury, right? Now this is just a sample. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is the first 6 cards of the minor arcana, right? And we'll get into more of that next time, but that's going to be Saturn in Leo. Now it's going to be a particular decan, which is going to be 0 through 10 degrees, 10 through 20 degrees, or 20 through 30 degrees. And then the next one's going to be Jupiter in Leo, and then Mars in Leo. And then it gets to jump next to the next one. So it goes Sun in Virgo. Then it goes Venus in Virgo. Or I'm sorry, no, I'm not sorry. Venus in Virgo, and then Mercury in Virgo, right? And then it goes to Libra. And so you would just go down the list. You would go Moon, and then you would go Saturn, and then you would go Jupiter. And, these are in Libra, these are in Libra, and these are in Libra. And so you've got, these are your wands, these are your pentacles, and these are your swords, right? For earth, or for fire, for earth, and for air. And then your cups would be your water. Well, like I said, this is, we're going off on a tangent, but this is going to give you the gist of what the minor arcana is representing. It's the energy of these planets, these Sephiroth, right? These planetary energies. So for instance, you've got Mars. So Mars is, this is this power. It's a destruction. That it's a representation of Scorpio and Aries, right? So Scorpio and Aries is Mars, and that energy is going to be constant. And then Leo has a constant energy, Virgo has a constant energy, and so on and so forth. And so Mars is constant energy, mixing like an alchemical process with Leo's chemical energy or Venus's chemical energy, you might react differently, right? And so those reactions are going to produce powers or energies, and then those energies are going to be represented, right? So this is the major arcana. And but anyways, so this is a good representation. Uh, just remember, there's the three pillars. You've got Bina, Gabora, and Hod. It's the pillar of severity. You've got Hakama, Hesed, and Netzach, and that's the pillar of mercy. And then you've got Kether, Tapareth, Yesod, and Malkuth, and that is the middle pillar. The middle pillar exercise, when you do that, you're trying to stay balanced. It's a representation of the four pure energies that represent your spine, your body. All right, so I'm getting way too long here, but here you go, guys. Here's some information. This is the Tree of Life, the long-awaited Tree of Life. So now you guys have a slight concept of what the Tree of Life is. So thank you very much. Have a good day.